Kendo, which was born and developed in Japan, is now loved by many people as a sport. Look at a hard practice session full of spirit. This is a scene of Doyo Geiko, the practice during the hottest season of the year. Through this practice, you can take a step forward in Kendo, skills by striking and thrusting with each other with a shinai under a set of rules. One of the characteristics of Kendo is the unity of attack and defense. There is an old saying in Kendo that even the most elaborate techniques are only variations of certain basic movements. Kendo today places strong emphasis on the basics. This posture, Shizen Tai, is the basis for all Kendo movements. It is said to be the same as the good natural standing position in everyday life. This is the formal kneeling position, Seiza. Kneel with your knees a bit apart and with one big toe on the other. Keep your back straight and shoulders relaxed. This is the bow from the kneeling position, Zare. Kendo places emphasis on good manners. We employ courtesies in order to control the primitive aggression into which we might degenerate. This is the standing bow, Ritsure. This is the Sonkyo position. This is the Chudan no Kamae. Besides Chudan no Kamae, we have Jodan no Kamae and Gedan no Kamae. But this Chudan no Kamae is the basis for all positions, because it is most convenient to adapt yourself to variations for attack and defense. In Chudan, the right foot is slightly forward. The right hand grips a little below the guard. The shinai is held so that the cord is upward and the tip points toward the opponent's throat. Center your gaze on the opponent's eyes, but watch his entire body. Now let's see how to hold the shinai. The little finger of the left hand grips the end of the hilt. The right hand must grip the hilt about one fist's width forward of the left hand. Hold the shinai softly with the middle knuckles of both hands pointing upward. The thumbs of the man in the picture of this side are pointing sideways. He will not be able to hit correctly with such a grip. Since the left hand is held too low, the tip raises too high. When both hands are too close, your kamae is easily upset when your shinai is beaten off. Hold your shinai softly, keeping both elbows loose without spreading or pulling, so that you can freely strike and thrust. This is the position of the feet. In the standard position, the toes of the left foot are drawn back to a point on a line with the heel of the right foot. Both feet are too far apart. You cannot move quickly with your toes pointing outward or with heels touching the floor. Remember not to lift your heels too high. Footwork plays an important part in kendo. It is designed to be of maximum effect in strikes and thrusts. Without good footwork, you cannot succeed in kaleidoscopic techniques. It is not too much to say that footwork is the life of kendo. Well, let's observe the basic footwork. This is Ayumi Ashi, used for moving forward and backward to cover great distances quickly. This is Okuri Ashi. It is the footwork for fast, short-range movements in any direction. Okuri Ashi can be connected with many techniques since it is employed to move to the front, back, right, left, and diagonally. Hiraki Ashi is the footwork used for your counterattack or dodging your opponent's attack. Be careful that your rear foot is drawn up as quickly as possible, thinking of your hips as the center of your body. The Tsugi Ashi is for use in strikes and thrusts, delivered at a wide interval of space. When you see a chance, you first draw your left foot to your right foot, and then take a big step forward on your right foot. After learning kamae and footwork, you have to learn about swinging of the shinai. These vertical and diagonal swings of the shinai through space are called suburi. Suburi is an important part of training to master basics of attacks and the directions of the shinai. This is jogeburi. Always pass your left hand in front of your face. Both fists must be twisted a little inward and travel on a line corresponding to the center of your body. Let's swing the shinai, adding the footwork. Think of drawing a big circle with the tip. This is naname buri. Through suburi, you can effectively master basic postures, footwork, and especially the directions of the strikes. Now we will show you how and where to strike and thrust. This must be based upon the fundamental movements you have learned so far. The kei-kogi and kendogu used in kendo are made with an eye to safety and freedom of body movement. Be sure to put the equipment on correctly. Ma'ai means the distance between your body and the opponent. This basic interval is called Issoku Itto no Ma'ai. We call this interval Chikai Ma'ai, or Chikama. This interval is called Toi Ma'ai, or Toma. This is Meng Uchi. When you step forward, beginning on the right foot from the Issoku Itto no Ma'ai, you can reach the Meng correctly. The Meng Uchi are divided into Sho Meng Uchi, Hidari Meng Uchi, and Migi Meng Uchi. Be sure that you hit with the end of the shinai at least 1/3 the length. Shift your weight forward as you swing the shinai upward. After swinging the shinai well above the head so as not to obstruct your view to your opponent's Meng, step forward and at the same time swing the shinai down. Be careful to keep a good interval. The upward swing of the shinai and downward strike must be in unified series. At the beginning stage, slide your feet as you swing your shinai upward in a wide, slow movement. Gradually reduce the size of the swing, increase its speed, and step forward faster. If you lift your right foot too far, you will lose your balance. You cannot make a valid strike if you spread your elbows. This is a speedy Meng Uchi with quick stepping. This is Kote Uchi. This is the point area of Kote. A blow delivered to the fist alone cannot be scored. Step forward and strike to the Kote. Be certain that your left fist is at the center of your body, and then snap your wrists to sharpen the blow. This bad posture with a bent back is caused by the slow drawing back of the left foot. The strike must be made with the whole body, not with the hands only. This is Do Uchi. Step on your right foot and strike. This is the point area of Do. Strike correctly with the side of the shinai opposite to the tsuru. When you execute the strike, swing the shinai up high enough to view your opponent's Do part and step forward. Keep your left fist at hip height at the center of your body. You can never strike the Do accurately if your left fist rises higher than the hip. Your strike will not be correct if you don't step well forward. The shinai passes on the wrong course. The left fist is not placed on the center line of your body. This strike is called hirauchi. That is, a blow with the flat part of the blade, so it is not valid. When you execute the Do strike, strike correctly in good posture, turning your hands well. The courage to step boldly forward is required to make a successful do strike. This is ski thrust. This is the target for ski. When you thrust, step forward on your right foot, twist both of your fists inward. Be sure that the thrust is made with the hip. Don't allow your left fist to rise like this at the moment of the thrust. Immediately after the thrust, return to the Chudan no Kamae. There are two kinds of tsuki. They are morote tsuki, two-hand, and katate tsuki, one-hand. In kendo, it is also necessary to master blocking techniques, besides learning how to strike and thrust correctly. He is blocking the Meng strike. When you block, watch your opponent's attack and be prepared to move into attack at once. This is the technique of blocking a strike to kote. This is the blocking of a do strike. The next is the blocking of a tsuki. There are two kinds of blocking techniques. One is the technique designed to help the opponent practice thrusting and striking. The other is the technique used to rob the opponent's strikes and thrusts of their effect and to move into an attack of your own. Kendo is a sport in which you strike or thrust by forestalling and seeking a chance according to your opponent's move. Therefore, the central topic of kendo is personal attack and defense skills. How are the basic skills applied? We will present some of the outstanding techniques. They are divided into two categories. One is Shikakewaza, that is your attack before your opponent begins his action. The other is Uchiwaza, which is defense plus counterattack technique. As soon as you upset your opponent's posture by parrying his shinai diagonally upward, you can strike the Meng. This technique is called Harai Meng. The warding off technique, Harai Waza, is one of Shikake Waza in which you yourself take the opportunity to attack. At the instant of the parry, snap your wrist to sharpen your movements. The upward parry and swing over the head should not become a two-stage action. Bear in mind the great advantage your parry can derive from the forward or backward movement of the opponent. This is Harai Ngote. This is Harai Do. Pay attention to Ma'ai, footwork, and the posture after the strikes. This sequence of techniques is called Nidanwaza or Renzokuwaza. First, you execute a strike to kote. Your opponent lowers his hands to protect his kote. Immediately step forward and deliver a strike to Meng. When your opponent raises his hands to clear himself of the strike and tries to strike your Meng, turn your body immediately to the right and execute a strike to his do. The kote, Meng, and do strikes were delivered continuously. This three-step technique is called Sandanwaza. In Renzokuwaza, there are various combinations of strikes and thrusts, besides the techniques shown here. This is the strike executed to the opponent on the verge of his move. It is called Debanawaza. This is Debanagote. The instant when your opponent is about to execute a strike is a very good chance for your attack. Speedy stepping forward is required. The step-back techniques are called Nukiwaza. When you and your opponent are very close, such as in case of the sword-guard tangle called Tsubazeriai, you can strike while stepping back. The first is Hikimen. Hikigote is performed with a diagonal rear step. This is Hikido. In Tsubazeriai, you upset your opponent's kamae by pressing up his hands. The instant your opponent executes a strike to your Meng, you use an upward sliding parry called Suriage to strike his Meng. This technique is called Men Suriage Meng. The next one is Kote Suriage Meng. The important points required to make this technique successful are to rapidly predict the course of your opponent's shinai, to maintain a proper interval, and to snap your wrist. When the opponent is trying to strike, you can give yourself a chance to strike him by striking his shinai downward and upsetting his balance. This technique, called Uchiotoshiwaza, is one of Ojiwaza. For example, when the opponent tries a strike to your do, you strike his shinai downward to the right, turning your body slightly to the left with hiraki ashi. Take advantage of the power you develop for this strike to execute a strike to his men at once. This is Kaishiwaza. When your opponent attempts a strike to the Meng, you parry his shinai with an upward sliding motion. Change the direction of your shinai and execute a strike to the right do. This Meng Kaishi do is included in Kaishiwaza. When the opponent has advanced for an attack, turn your body and allow his shinai to beat the air and attack at once. These evading techniques are called Nukiwaza. Evade the opponent's attempted strike to the Meng by stepping back one step on the left foot and swinging your shinai upward. From this same position, step forward and strike his Meng. When your opponent attempts a strike to your kote, you swing your shinai above your head and immediately execute a strike to his Meng. This technique is kote-nuki Meng. Although you may often succeed in this kote-nuki Meng beautifully during a keiko session, you seldom succeed in matches. That is because one attempts to evade by retreating in matches. This is Men Nuki Do. The important point to watch in this technique is to move in so close to the opponent that you almost bump into him as you evade his men strike. Now let's see what the good chances are for attack. First is the moment when the opponent's posture is upset by your forestalling or your first strike. The second good chance is the instant your opponent is about to start his motion of attack. The third is the time when your opponent is at a standstill. The fourth is the moment when he has just completed an action. Good chances come and go in an instant, so you had better give a strike without missing them. We will now present some of the training methods. This uchikaishi or kirikaishi, consecutive right and left men strike, is an indispensable training of both experts and beginners. The kirikaishi is an excellent training to master the basics of kendo synthetically, such as accurate strikes, footwork, and ma'ai. It is also performed for warming up and cooling down. When you have acquired proficiency in kirikaishi, try to perform it speedily in one breath. Though he is beating and thrusting the air, he is imagining the point areas such as Meng, Kote, Do, and Tsuki. This is one of the good methods for learning basic strikes and thrusts. This is practice with striking sticks called uchikomi bo. It best suits the needs of the beginner. This is uchikomi, striking training with the instructor. The trainee strikes the places the instructor has left open accurately and with large motions. Gradually increase the speed and master the basics of strikes and thrusts. This practice is kakari geiko. It is very important for you to try all the shikakewaza you have learned on your instructor or motodachi, concentrating lots of willpower in actions of a short duration. Strikes must be continued fiercely with the whole body in large motions as long as you are psychologically and physically strong. The instructor must not allow the bad or poorly executed strokes of the beginner to succeed and help him to master correct strikes naturally. ideal strikes and thrusts are said to be the ones with the harmonious working of the spirit, sword, and body, ki, ken, tai, ichi. In other words, the ones executed with a vigorous spirit, the shinai accurately reaching the targets, and in an appropriate posture. In order to improve your kendo, it is important to master the fundamentals. So you must always be studious and willing to persevere until you have attained your goal. It is not until then that you can establish your fundamental skills and readily apply them in matches and practice.